This is a trap in the Petroff defense. So this is the move knight f6 here is the Petroff defense, and it's pretty simple. White's attacking a pawn and black counterattacks a pawn, and so this is a good trap because I think if you're playing against this, you'll find people who don't know this trap, and you can win some games with it. So knight takes e5 is a blunder, and knight takes e4 is a blunder, and we'll go through the right move at the end. But first, let's go through why this is a trap. And now, if you want to use this as a puzzle, this is a good puzzle. But now white has a winning move with queen e2. And first, if the knight is attacked, and if the knight retreats to f6, then white has a winning tactic with knight to c6 check. This is a discovered check, and it attacks the queen, and it also attacks the e7 square in case the black queen tries to block the check. The knight can also capture it this way. And this trap works no matter where the knight goes. Same thing if it goes to d6. So this is a really good move, queen e2. And now one thing we should think about is that it's losing to move the knight, so we should look at other options. And first we should look at the pawn to d5, because now there's no discovered check. If knight c6, then the pawn just captures. So white again has a winning move with pawn to d3, and now once again if the knight moves, knight c6 check wins a queen with a discovered attack. So really, I think the best way, it's hard to figure out what to play. If something like bishop d6 attacking the knight, I think white is just winning after they move the knight. Now this knight is pinned and the pawn's going to capture it. So maybe we could look at a move like this, which blocks the pin and attacks the knight at the same time. So I think this is still winning for white. After they take the knight, queen takes, and then this pawn takes here, and now this queen cannot capture the pawn because it's pinned to the king. So after something like knight d7, white is up a pawn, which is enough to win the game. And so this, at the very least, this wins a pawn. Now I did want to go through another idea, which is an important tactical theme, which is pawn to f3. And this move is not as good because it produces complications after something like queen h4 check. And now, okay, king here is bad, probably. Looks pretty miserable actually. Let's check. Okay. So pawn to g3, knight takes g3. And now maybe knight g6 check. The king moves over. Actually, sorry. Pawn takes knight, and now the idea was that the pawn was pinned to the rook, so queen takes rook, and now after knight g6 check, the king moves over. Queen takes the rook, and white is up a piece in this line. Piece for the pawn, and I think white is definitely doing better. So f3 also does seem winning, but I don't think that move is as good. I think actually the best here would probably be moving the queen and just only being down a pawn. So f3 might work, but it's just safer not to expose your king. So So after d3, the queen comes here. And I think, so this is just a trap to keep in mind. And now I just wanted to also explain that in the main line for black is not taking on e4, but to play d6. And then this knight comes back, and now this knight will capture this pawn, and now it's about equal. And so games are pretty symmetrical in this line. I think black plays d5 here, and both sides have an equal amount of space, and it's playable for both sides. So just the main idea from this lecture was to keep in mind that you can sometimes win the queen after queen to e2. So, and oh yeah, one more idea. Also, if pawn to d6 here is not a bad way to play, I think it also would lose a pawn in this line, but maybe the queen. Yeah, this was the last line I want to show. So pawn here, the queen takes the knight, and then the queen here. And now if the queen moves, if the knight moves, the queen is taken. So pawn to d4, and just a line like this, and white is still up a pawn. So, all right, signing off.